Welcome to the Freddie Kissoon Show. Bring it!
Let me ask you this question. I would like to ask the AG to propose legislation for what we call small claims court. There are lots of poor people, to an example you just gave, that they have issues with others and sometimes with large firms, but the lawyer fee is greater than the fee you're claiming.
It is their
right.
Unlike the right that someone has, all of our rights exist in context.
What is the context of a second medical opinion?
Because you're disrespecting the process.
No.
Jesus, this is common sense, man.
Any situation which you seem to do, you're just dealing with Afro-Guyanese issues. If one, you can't bring and pull the leaders of the African community together, you're failing. And if two, you can't put forward a future, a blueprint, and a plan for African Guyanese, you're failing as well.
Good evening and welcome to the Freddie Kissoon Show. Thanks for being with us wherever you are. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. Once again, thanks for being with us. As you can see from our screen, one of the well-known names in politics, but certainly one of the prominent names in Region 10 and Linden. I will ask my co-host, Leonard Craig, to introduce him because it was Leonard who tried. I tried for months to get him, but he was genuinely busy. But Leonard was able to snatch him. So, Jermaine, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And I let Leonard.
Thanks for coming. Mr. Figueira needs no formal introduction. He's well known to the Guyanese people, well known to the people of Linden. Parliamentarian in the 12th Parliament and
11th and the 12th.
11th and 12th Parliament, yes. Thanks for the correction.
So how many years you chopped up then?
That would be 10.
10?
Close to 10.
So you're getting a pension then?
Yeah.
After 3 years, you're entitled to a pension.
So you get 3 pensions?
No, 1 pension.
All right. And he was also the head of the Public Accounts Committee in the 12th Parliament. Mr. Figueira, welcome to the program. Now,
thank you.
Now, viewers, we are gonna dive right into it one time, and we might go forward and then come back and so on, but you'll see why. Now, Mr. Figueira rose, some amount of controversy was raised over his name just before election. Some folks were happy with the news and some weren't so happy. For myself, I saw lots of people who were disenchanted, annoyed, all kinds of terms you could use with respect to some decisions that he made. But we are going to dive into those decisions today. We're going to ask the hard questions and we're going to put Mr. Figueira on the hot seat. We know you're MP and all of that, but we mean no disrespect by calling you Jermaine. Is that okay?
No.
Okay.
Figgy,
Figgy, right.
No matter.
Right. You grabbed national headlines when you decided to walk away from the PNC and endorse President Ali. Can you take us through some of what caused and led to that decision?
Well, a number of factors, From the party's vantage point, I believe I was intentionally being sidelined by the leader himself. A leader who I actually helped put there 2 times when all of the party's leadership, including the late the Ali, pleaded with me not to endorse nor support Mr. Norton for the leadership. but I had a prior conversation with him when he would have asked me when Mr. Harmon was running. And I said to him, you know I'm supporting Harmon. I will only lend support to you if Mr. Harmon decides not to run for the leadership. And he came back several months after and said, Mr. Harmon said he's not running. So he said, well, I have to speak to Mr. Harmon myself. And if that is the case, then only then I will lend support. So I spoke with Mr. Harmon, and he said he's not going to be running. So I said, well, you'll have my support. And when I did that, word got around from the leadership of the party. A lot of people in the communities and so forth called and said, Figueira, this man is not leadership material. Now everybody should, even though they're desirous of becoming the leader of the party, certain character traits, certain leadership qualities is expected for you to elevate to such level. But in their opinion, Mr. Norton didn't possess those qualities. But I ignored all of that because I gave them my word. And I said, I already gave him on my word, and I'm going to support him. And that is what I did. I mean, some of Aubrey's closest friend in Linden didn't support him. That should have been a telling indicator for me. But because I am a man who honors my word, I decided to proceed, and that is what I did. And that's history. I mean, I could delve into many things, but that is the past. I'm moving on. Mm-hmm. But if you feel the need to ask whatever specific question, then I would be more inclined to respond in kind. But to me, too, that's going to take up your whole time in that.
No, you talk.
No, we got time, We got time. We want us to split this in two wheels.
One of the things I want to ask you, it's bothered me my whole life. And
that's a long life.
Yeah. And it's bothered me more intellectually rather than at the level of practical politics. I listened to you when you said you assisted, helped, facilitated, whatever.
Yes.
And throughout history, you have these people like yourself. I've seen it in PPP, PNC, WP. They're so crucial. They're so instrumental in the party's edifice, but somehow have been outmaneuvered. Why you facilitated Norton, and you were not there to check Norton and to remind Norton, listen, you can't have your own way. Why didn't you rein in Norton?
Well, if you are indeed following the politics, and I know you are an avid reader, then you would have seen that I would have articulated very many views in the public space with regards to Mr. Norton. But as a man who's I've delved in the political arena as long as you would know certain matters of the party, especially the central executive level. Many seek not to disclose what have been discussed at that part of the structure of the institution. But anybody in the People's National Congress reform, and anyone who knows me, would know I've always been candid, I've always been bold and fearless in my views, including Mr. Norton. And many times he would have known what position I took with regards to some of the decisions that he would have been making. And that is why he and I had opposing positions. And that is why I was strategically sidelined intentionally by him. Because he knew of my influence and he knew what were some of my positions with regards to the positions that he would have taken. And anyone who wants to be honest, you have many of my former colleagues come to this program and they would tell you that Figueira is a very outspoken and candid individual. So
the question I want to ask you is, you had clearly, as you articulated, you had conflicts with the leader, with Norton. People are asking, why didn't you stay, challenge Norton, and fix the party rather than get up and run after what they believe you were being ungrateful because the party allowed you to serve for 10 years in Parliament? and let me give you an example. Norton and Hoyt had issues. Norton and Granger had issues. Norton stayed. Norton went through his, if you want to call it, sufferation or whatever in the party. He abided his time and then ran and became leader. What led you to choose a different path? Why, as people would say, get up and run?
Well, I could probably redirect that same question to you.
I know, but I'm asking you.
So, Mr. Norton had issues with every leader of the People's National Congress. You forgot Mr. Corbyn too.
Right.
This is a different era. The politics in Guyana is changing. And we can see that because of the leadership, this cadre of, and a more so of new direction of the People's Progressive Party under the leadership of Ifran Ali and Bart Jagdeo. The party is changing. The environment, when Aubrey was with Hoyt and with Corbyn, has significantly evolved. You know, so and the younger generation of politicians don't subscribe to that type of blind loyalty per se. You look at the tea leaves, you read the room, and you look at decisions that are being made for the country you have dedicated to serve. And if you look at that and you do your own intelligent analysis of the trajectory of the country with regards to where you want to see it, and you would have, if I figure you did look at my presentations in Parliament. I've always been critical, constructively, and then I provided alternatives. I'm not the type of politician who does criticize for criticizing's sake. I'm about positions taken by a government that I believe can advance the benefit of the people of our country. And if they have taken a position that I believe could be further enhanced, I put my ideas to enhance that and hope that they would consider it to make the people of Guyana be equally beneficiaries in a more advanced manner. And that is how I play my politics. I'm into service for people. You understand? And if I believe the government of the day is doing something that I could believe I can add to make the lives of the people better and enhance their proposals, that is what I do. So it's not about replicating what Aubrey Norton did. And if you say he waited his turn to become the leader, then you see where the party is at. Not everybody who waits their turn to become the leader of an organization is fit to lead the organization. There's a difference between a leader and leadership. The difference between being a leader and being in a leadership position. You understand me? So I'm from a different era. And I make decisions that I believe is best in my interest, in the interest of my community, and what I want to see be advanced for the people of Guyana.
I'm going to ask you a question which any media operative in the past, and the present, and the future will ask the guests like you all over the world. That question will be presented to someone like you. Did you have him in a room, in a corner, a night by the river, and say, listen, we can't go on like this. You can't go on like this. You're going to damage this party. I have my belly in this party. You have your belly in this party. We can't go on like this. Look, can we have a tete-a-tete about where we're going? I mean, you're talking about two seasoned politicians and one of the leading politicians in Region 10. They must have had something come out of that. You and him sitting down.
Anybody who you know with the ilk of Mr. Norton, be it Mr. Alexander, James Bond, Ganesh Maipaul, some of your own guests, you know what's the commonality of what they would say to that question? Mr. Aubrey Norton listens to no one.
My goodness.
That is the perspective of many of the leadership, of many people who seek to advise Mr. Norton, that he don't listen. And I have said already in this conversation that I am a candid and straightforward person. And many times I would have articulated my positions at the Central Executive. I've been on the Central Executive consecutively since 2015. You understand? And the last Congress that I supported Mr. Norton, because he called me, despite all of the debacle that was going on in the public space between he and I, he called, and he said he called me for two reasons. He called me to ask me for his support and to let me know that he's going to be putting me on his list to become a Central Executive member. I said, okay. And I organized Linden, because even when Aubrey Norton comes to Linden, he can't get the amount of people in a room that I would organize for him to sit in. And including sitting councillors on the RDC, sitting councillors on the Main Town Council. When Aubrey comes to Linden, they ask me if I am going so that they would go. And he's the leader of the party. You understand me? So many efforts were put to have these conversations with Mr. Norton. But the fact of the matter is, Aubrey Norton listens to no one but himself. So,
Norton's practice of politics included a decision not to shake the hands of the president, and probably I think that was extended to the vice president as well. But there are others who followed his lead on that, but you didn't. You didn't. When the president went to Linden, you extended the handshake to him and you were cordial. How do you explain that not following that lead of your party leader?
Well, I follow intelligently. I'm not a blind follower of whoever. It doesn't matter who the person is or what position they hold. If what they are doing that I know consciously is wrong, I won't follow suit. I had the privilege of growing with both parents and grandparents. I understand basic courtesies. I understand you respect the office of the president. You respect the CEO of an institution that you are working with. It's not personal. You may have different views and perspectives. But if a leader extends his hand to you, the basic courtesy compels me to respond in kind. I don't buy people problem, you know. If you and Mr. Kissoon has a problem, and Mr. Kissoon and I are not friends, but you and I are friends, I'm not gonna buy into you disagreement with Mr. Kissoon and not speak to Mr. Kissoon or give him a greeting if he greeted me. I am not of that ilk. And the president and I have been friends since 2015, being on the Public Accounts Committee. Never have he shown me a bad face, never. And I can say I find his character to be admirable, because if you check, there has been no member of parliament in the opposition who has written more letters than me to the press, and some of those were damning letters during the recount towards the president, and he has never, not even once, even at the recount, he called and we had a good conversation, and the next day a letter I had written before we had the conversation came out, and Miss Ali and I were talking at the center there, and he was under their tent, and he saw me, Miss Ali speaking, and he raised his hand. He said, "Forget what's going on, buddy," and he came over. He said, "Mommy, you had a good conversation yesterday. You go right to the seat, man." And Miss Ali said, "Man, rest yourself. You know it's part." He laughed. He said, "Yeah, it's not personal," and that was it. But some people would have taken that very personal. And I learned from him, because when I decided to lend support to him, the barrage of visceral attack and negative and dirty, nasty comments towards me, I consciously decided not to read them. Because when I started to read them, some of the very people who were commenting negative towards me were people who I helped. And I am involved in charitable work. And I help a lot of people in my community and elsewhere. I never want my work to be hindered because we're all humans and humans react a certain way, especially when people are negative towards them. I consciously decided not to read those comments because I know I am doing this work and the very people who said what they said will come to me for help. And I don't want my feelings or emotion to what they would have said to me affect my ability and genuineness in wanting to help them with what I do. So I deliberately didn't do that. And I observed that even today, that some of the people who I see and I speak to them in kind, their facial reaction, then I recognize that probably this was one person who said something ill and they're shocked how I'm responding to them. You understand? Even people today who said ill things about me, I have been able to help them to become contractors and they became first-time millionaires. I have helped many of the people who have said so much ill things about me. And it's amazing how people can be so ungrateful. You know, but I understand human nature and I try to rise above that to be of service because all my life I have been in service to people and I don't want anything to disrupt that.
The story went around all of Guyana, and please clarify it now.
Yeah.
That
Nancy story.
that handshake led to your removal as a shadow minister. You care to comment?
I would think it had some part to play in that. You see, Aubrey called me.
Referring to the Nancy story in the Sun newspaper, which mentioned politician David Clark's former aide.
Sorry about that. These iPhones.
No problem.
Turn on the volume.
Yes. I believe it had some. He was upset. He called me in the morning because normally I wake up early and read all of the newspapers to have a sense of what is in the news and so forth.
Kim and I write for the Chronicle. You read the Chronicle.
Well, I used to read a lot of the Kaichur, just to read the Freddie Kissoon's column, actually. But then you go on writing about your dog and I lose interest. But I start back reading the Chronicle. Yeah, so when I read the article, because when the president came to Linden, when he just got into office, he came to visit the synthetic tract. Now, I fought vehemently for that synthetic tract to come to Linden and more so to go to Wismar. A lot of people don't know that because it was never the coalition's intention for the synthetic tract to go to Wismar. Their intention was for it to be placed within the Mackenzie Sports Club. And I said no. I said most of the athletes live at Wismar. Of the 7 secondary schools in Linden, 5 is at Wismar. Of the 10 clubs registered with the Upper Denver Football Association, 8 is at Wismar. Of the 6 clubs, the 8 clubs with the LABA, the Linden Amateur Basketball Association, 6 is from Wismar. Most of our national athletes live at Wismar. So my position was, the Mackenzie Sports Club ground is already a multi-purpose facility. Just upgrade it and put in probably a 4-lane track. Go into Amelia's Ward. This is the largest catchment area of Linden. A lot of young people are there. They have no facility there. Put in the Millie's Hideout area, carve out a plot of land and put another multi-purpose facility there. And at Bayrock, where there's no issue of parking, they have enormous space for a stadium that could be bigger than what it is at the Mackenzie Sports Club ground, and put the synthetics track at Wismar, and more so put a football pitch in the center, because at Bayrock, before the track was there were two football pitches, one on the right side and one on the left side. So several football teams used to be playing there. They had cricket and all that being played there. So I say you have to put back the element of football because, like I said, 8 of the 10 clubs in the LABA played football. And therefore, it's important for the track to go there. But after bringing it to the central executive and articulating with me and Christopher Jones and a lot of people, it ended up going to BRAC. So it was something of great interest to me. So when the president decided to go to BRAC, he told me he was coming. And there's another thing about the president. Every time the president goes to Linden, he always sends me a text, says, Figueira coming in the area. He doesn't have to do that. He's the president. He could go any part of this country without letting nobody know. He's the president. But he always extends that courtesy because I was known as one of the most vociferous representative of Linden and Region 10, and out of respect and the friendship from 2015, he said, Figueira, every single time, he sends a text and says, Figueira gonna be in Linden. If you get time, you could pass. So I decided to go because, like I said, I championed the synthetic track going to Wismar. And when he came, he extended his hand of friendship to me. Courtesy, basic thing. I shook it, and when I shook his hand, I said, Brass, we need this track to be completed, and not just completed. We need it to be furnished in a manner in which our athletes will have the best opportunity, not just to participate in international event, but be competitive. Because many of our athletes just go to these events to say, we mark, we name. No. He said, Figueira, it will be done. And that made the front page of the Chronicle, and the Chronicle stated that Figueira is more of a statesman than the leader of the opposition. And you could imagine how livid this Norton was. So he called me and he said,
Small man.
he said, Figueira, you saw with any papers? I said, no, I mean see with any paper. But I already read it. But because I heard from his tone, he was angry. I said, what do I need? You see the papers, you need to go and read the papers. I tell you about this handshake thing, I'm going to recall you, I said, you're going to recall me? And I said, Mr. Norton, you and I know full well that you can't recall me. But the fact that you would have conjured such a thought after all that I would have done for you in making you the leader tells me how ungrateful you are. And we hang up.
Mr. Let me... Do you realize when this thing goes out, what your analysis would have done to Mr. Norton? This is a very no-nonsense analysis.
You think Mr. Norton cares about analysis? Mr. Norton has lost the election as leader of the party. And no leader in the party has lost such a loss in any election. You have not won a single region in this country, never in the history. You have moved from 31 seats to 12 seats. And you still believe you have what it takes to bring the party together, so you want to remain as leader. You have an avalanche of prominent, young, bright leaders leaving your party.
But to speak like that to someone who was instrumental in you becoming leader, someone who's 10 years in parliament, I can remove your shadow minister. No, man, he should go. Mr. Norton,
what are you saying? Recall him entirely as parliamentarian. That's what he's saying.
Yeah, Mr. Norton, after this interview, I think there should be greater calls within the PNC for him to go.
No. The PNC will make their decision that is in the best interest of the party. So it doesn't matter who makes the call. The people are wise and brilliant. We have brilliant people in the PNC. And I think when that time comes, because as it is, he had been elected to be the leader, and that time for Congress is not as yet. But anyone would have assumed, as an intelligent man as Mr. Norton, and having done the analysis, you don't have to wait for Freddie Kissoon to do the political analysis of the outcome of the elections to make a decision. He himself, I am very conscious, is aware that he has failed beyond his own expectation and the expectation of any conscious PNC Even the PPP is shocked. The PPP comrades are
I for someone who have known the PNC leadership since I was 16, I was shocked and saddened.
Of course.
It's a part of Guyana, man.
Yes,
and
he still has the audacity to believe he is suited to continue to lead the People's National Congress reform. What's so funny?
The results.
No, man, that is funny.
The results in Linden.
Yes.
Did you expect
that kind of devastation?
Did you expect it at that level?
No, most definitely not. Linden, the people rejected Mr. Norton, and a lot of people didn't vote. Strong, solid supporters of the People's National Congress reform didn't vote. The turnout was poor. I was the assistant campaign manager in 2020. And I'm telling you, Linden then would have never seen a turnout like that in 2020 election. Never. And we managed to move the votes from 16 to almost 20,000 votes. So, and a lot of people were angry and upset with how Mr. Norton was treating me as their representative for Linden Region 10, who they know was have been championing representation for them in every regard. They know, besides the political contributions that I make, I did a lot of work helping people in the community consistently. Not wrong election time, like some were running to be leader of the party, to shape up with a hamper here and a thing there, and after that they disappear. I have been consistent in doing work to help the people of Linden, and they were upset and they were angry. Many turned to the PPP to lend support, and many turned to WIN to lend support, and a lot of them stayed at home. Seriously.
If you are called back at the next Congress, if you called to lead the PNC, would you do it?
No. I have moved on. Listen, the PNC don't need a German Figueira to lead them. They have many likes of German Figueira in the PNC. They have bright, articulate people who want to serve not just the party but the country in the PNC. Likewise in the PPP. The PPP don't need a German Figueira. No political party needs.
So so that road is gone. That pathway is gone. You've moved on.
I have moved on. I'm looking ahead.
All right. Do you think Mr. Norton is going to have sufficient staying power to win the leader position in the next Congress?
In
a free and fair way, in a transparent way.
Well, I'm happy you put that element in it, because the election is not about staying power in the party's dynamics. It's about who controls the machinery.
Yeah. Basil Williams once told me that 20 years ago.
Well, I'm telling you today, it's he who controls the machinery of the Congress can win the election. But I think good sense would prevail. I'm very optimistic. I'm an optimistic guy, and I believe Mr. Norton's intelligence, because he's a very intelligent guy, and I believe he will do what is best for the party and step aside. You've made your contribution. Move on.
But you think he will do that?
Well, like I said, I'm optimistic, and it would be remiss of me not to hold the view that the interests of the party should be paramount to him and step aside. Give some bright, young, vibrant person the opportunity to lead. Stepping aside doesn't mean that you have to go into
Exile.
Abyss or exile. You could do what a statement does. Lend guidance, like PJ Patterson, for example. You know, like Ramatar and these guys. These guys are still there. They're helping to mold new leaders, and this is what someone of Mr. Norton's intellect and political experience should do. You tried, you failed, move on. Let somebody else succeed. From your experiences, you could say, listen, I have erred in this way, you don't go there, this there. You give leadership guidance. You know, do that.
What do you think of the 12 selected, and how do you think that 12 would have what is needed for a resurgence in the PNC? Because obviously one would think the PNC wants to reclaim its territory.
Why is my view on the 12s that important? I mean,
you've been in the central executive.
Yeah, you've been there,
years.
and you know
for 10 years.
you understand the selection process. Why you know?
I don't understand that selection process because I'm aware that wasn't even discussed at the central executive level. Listen, like I said, Aubrey Norton is the leader of the list. It is his prerogative to select the best candidates, but I don't think this selection should have been by himself, which it seems to have been, but he would say no. But the fact that the central executive of the People's National Congress didn't play an integral and a pivotal role in this selection process, then I believe it's a grave injustice to the Central Executive Committee, and I think more thoughts should have been put in that regard with respect to the selection of the MPs. I am very disappointed that the chairman of the party, Mr. Sherwin Holder, was not selected. I'm disappointed that Christopher Jones wasn't selected. I'm disappointed that Annette has her ways, but Annette is a hard worker. I think she has experience, and I believe she could have added to the representation to making the opposition a little formidable. Some who are there, I don't think that they should have been. That's my personal view, is my opinion. But my disappointment lies in the fact that Sherwin is a bright young man. He might even reach 40 yet. So to deny a young,
that age,
brilliant guy like Sherwin,
you're killing youth.
Yeah, because you want to, in order to the organization to grow, you have to attract bright young people. Sherwin is a bright young man who is the chairman of the party.
Yeah, the chairman naturally goes to party.
Yeah, so it is unbelievable. I couldn't believe it when I read it. I mean, Sherwin called me after I expressed his disappointment. I don't know why they keep. Well, you see, I have always been.
You're glad senior statesman?
No. We are friends, and me leaving doesn't cause the friendship to be severed. I will always have friends in the PNC.
Yeah.
Likewise,
James Bond says that all the time.
Likewise, I have friends in the PPP. You know, I don't agree with David Hines in many instances, but I respect him. I have a conversation with him. I don't buy people problem. You understand? You may have a view that I am opposed to. I say it. If you don't want to be my friend, it's okay. I get thousands of people waiting on my friend list on Facebook to be Figueira friend. But I don't really need much friends anyway. So I'm saying he called me, expressed vividly his disappointment. And I can relate to his thing. And he said, Figueira, I now have a greater appreciation for why you did what you did. I saw what you were experiencing, and I didn't give you the representation that I should have. I said, no biggie, man. We moving on. But that don't deny me from being his friend. You understand? I've already started to make representation to help him because he's a smart guy, and I think he has a lot to offer. You know?
Since leaving the PNC, you have publicly endorsed Dr. Irfan Ali. and you were seen around during the campaign time with the PPP. So by all means, you were considered, or at least from a public perspective, you're considered a PPP. You know how people speak, right?
It's okay.
After being associated with the PPP, you get called these names, and people keep saying, branding the PPP and saying that you will never fit in and the PPP got no uses for you and all of these things.
Yeah.
What has been your experience since being associated with the PPP?
Let me tell you this, and I find it very interesting, and that's why I rate Bar Jagdeo. Always was an admirer of Bar Jagdeo. I mean, we had a few conversations in the 11th Parliament, and that's why I say to you that I don't buy people problem. Because in the 11th Parliament, when Bar greeted me in kind, he's a senior statesman, I was the youngest MP for the PNC. He engaged me in a conversation. And some people saw that and pulled me aside and say, yo, why you talking to the man, blah, 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 he's this, blah, blah. I said there and then, I don't buy people problem. If you and the man got a problem, that's not my problem. The man asks me a question and he extend a greeting to me, I will respond in kind. Because he has done none to me and I have no issues speaking with him. But I say that to say, when I tendered my resignation, I think this was 2 lines. Yeah, I was actually at a 70th birthday party. My neighbor, 70 or 75, yeah. It was the day after, or the same day Mr. Norton was in London. And the media asked him something about Figueira and lists and all that. And I know he wasn't genuine.
But he said you're not a heavyweight.
Yeah. I could care what Aubrey Norton.
You don't mince your words, man.
No. I speak the truth. And I say Aubrey Norton is a pathological liar.
That wouldn't get me into trouble.
No. Go right
that's
ahead,
my
bro.
view, my opinion. And I stand by it. And when he said what he said, I realized this man in recovering. You know, even though I have extended the olive branch on many occasions, I help you secure another seat. And here's another thing with Mr. Norton. On the day of the second Congress when he was running, on his list, somebody scratched off the regional chairman's name from the list, Darren Adams. And it was said to him that I scratched off Darren Adams' name, which wasn't true. Darren Adams was the chairman of Region 10 because of Figueira. Enough people don't know that. Because remember I was the assistant campaign manager. We could prepare the list for who will go to the RDC. You understand? And the leadership in London wanted Douglas Gittins, a friend of mine, who died. He was the vice chairman. And Miss Ali called me because there was big ruckus because Douglas Gittins was a previous counselor on the 10th council of the RDC. He had a lot of experience, brilliant chap. So everybody wanted him to be the regional chairman. But Miss Ali called me and said, Figueira needed to sort this matter out. The party wants Darren Adams to be the regional chairman and Douglas Gittins to be the vice chairman. Because there was a tussle with the APNU and AFC wanting to have the vice chairman's position. But the party's position is Darren Adams and Douglas Gittins. 1-2. So I called both of them to my office and I said, listen, this is the position of the party. But Douglas and I are friends in primary school. So I said, Dougie, I understand your position. This is the party's position. Respect the process, bro. He said, Figgy, we good. And I told Darren, he has to give Douglas Gittins all of the support. Because the history in Region 10 with Vice Chairman, everybody sees them as, are nothing really. But they're always very supportive of that with Dougie. Unfortunately, Dougie passed, and that was it. But they said I was responsible for scratching Douglas there on Adam's name off the list, and it was nothing of the sort. But it was going around. It got to him, and someone said to me that Aubrey instructed that my name be struck off and another name be placed next to mine, and reinstate Douglas Gittins, Adam's name. And it got to me. Several persons came and they told me. So I called him. And I said, "Ma, Aubrey, this is what I was made aware." I said, "Man, this is how you make decisions as a leader." I said, "They're right in the compound. If someone came and said this to you, you didn't see it prudent to call me and say, Figgy, come to my office and we discuss what I heard. You just scratch me name off the list." I said, "Man, don't worry about as a leader, I could co-op you as a..." I said, "No, you don't have to do it. It's okay." And we ended the conversation. But I got so much votes, I still got on the central exec. You understand? So, but when it got out, it's the things viral all over the place. And a lot of people from overseas and so started to call, "We're going out for gear, why y'all doing this, And that's probably why the results took so long. Less than 3,000 votes took so long to be declared. Because people were wondering what's going on with Figueira. Why Figueira is not going to be an essential exec. So I had my experience with Aubrey being dishonest. So when he said that to the media, I said, hogwash. It makes sense. But so I tendered my resignation, and every media house called like less than 5 minutes after. But I didn't answer none of them. But what was interesting, that Barrett Jagdio called. And what I found even more interesting, and none of my central executive called.
Yep.
None of my former central executive called the night. They called after. But Barrett called. So Figueira, I heard you, I see that you would have resigned. I said, yeah. He said, listen, you're young, you're bright, you have a contribution to make to this country. Me tell you come and join the party. You don't have to join the People Progressive Party. But if you want to continue to serve your country, there's a place for you over here. I said, okay, let me think about it. And that was it. And secondly, I recalled when there were about six councillors resigned from the PPP under David Granger's tenure. And Barrett called all of them. And all of them rescinded their resignation.
Not only called,
leadership.
I think he went down. I think it was in Berbice, right? I think Barrett went down to Berbice, and I noted that since then, and I respected that in a leader. Respect that in a leader.
This may be a sensitive question, so if you're uncomfortable with it, let's move on. If you facilitated.
You like this if thing, man.
If life is about if is a central part of life. If you're asked to facilitate it in local government election next year, would you serve as Mayor Linden? Would you accept?
No, I wouldn't. Listen, I don't have to get a position and no brethren. The position don't make the individual. We had 31 MPs in the last parliament. Figueira is one of the most known of the 31. Is it was the position, or was it because of the individual who held the position? Because you can't name the 31 MPs.
The other 30.
But if you are to start naming, Figueira name would come mentioned.
In the first 5, yes.
So I don't need to be no mayor. I don't need to be anything. I believe as a member of parliament, when I served to the best of my ability. I believe I brought the representation the community needed. And I will continue to do that. Advocate for Linden and Region 10 to prosper and the people to have equal opportunities to become prosperous as well. I want the infrastructural development to come. And I believe I have grown to beyond mayoral position. I'm a national figure. To step down and become a mayor. I don't have to be a mayor to help nobody. I get things done in Linden faster than the present mayor for Linden. When they had the freak storm and all the zinc sheets blow off, I called the Prime Minister and got all of the roofs with Bishop Edgell, Minister Edgell, fixed. When that flooding, I called the bishop, called the PM, the whole team came in. The mayor didn't do that. Figueira did that and helped to bring relief to the people. You understand? When they give $7 billion to Region 6 to infrastructure work, I said in Parliament, I need the same to be done for Region 10. And in less than a month, $6 billion in contract came. I'm not saying I'm responsible for that, but I'm saying I made a representation. When I articulated for Lindeners to be given contracts to do the development in the communities in which they live rather than outside contractors coming in, that was done. So we have a lot of people in my community who are first-time contractors, and because they garner contracts, they are now first-time millionaires. They have their own car, they have their own motorbike, they have their own business, and they're creating employment for other Lindeners. That is what Figueira is about. Representation that can make a difference. I'm not about rhetoric. I'm about action.
You, Mr. Shama Solomon, was ever hostile to you?
No.
After you've left the PNC?
Never. Shama Solomon and I are not friends, but we mutually respect each other. So he has his way, I have my way, and that's it. If we in the same space, we greet each other, and that's it. Well, we're not friends. You understand? He has his friends, I have my friends, and that's it.
You still live in Linden?
Yes.
All right.
Y'all look like y'all ready for me, man.
Your
Y'all have plans for me, man.
your
plans for you?
Y'all have plans.
your future
Yeah.
in politics. How do you visualize? What do you visualize you go on to do? You want to go back to Parliament to represent your people, or you prefer to be an administrator? How do you see your politics being shaped?
No one would deny being in Parliament. It is a privilege to serve in the legislative arm of government. So if that opportunity do present itself, I would welcome it. But like I said, it doesn't deter me from, because politics is about representing people's interests. You don't have to hold a MP seat, but what the MP seat does, it gives you a platform. You understand? It gives you that badge to really make the representation on a different platform and vantage point altogether. You have to influence laws that I mean, I could be in a community making representation and seeing things that can impact and change people's lives, but in having a platform in the house, what you have experienced on the ground, you could help craft legislation to make it happen for real. So you could be an advocate and talking. It is not profound as actually being in a seat where you could influence the law that could greatly impact people's lives.
There is the comment that where we used to hear it about economic apartheidism and all of that.
Yeah.
But there's the comment that, well, we only recently got oil, and I'm talking about since oil revenue has come in, that the PPP has underdeveloped Linden. Do you share that view, or do you believe that Linden, comparably with most of the country, is lockstep from this administration, from what you would have seen in Linden?
You who said that? I have never read that.
It's around all the time. You hear that people, it was on the campaign trail all along, that the PPP has done things to underdevelop Linden.
Listen, I'm from Linden.
Mm-hmm.
Most of my political consciousness was birthed while Bar Jagdeo was in government. My political consciousness. He was the president since 1999. I was still in probably Farm 1 or 2 at the time. So you become politically conscious, but he was the leader. And growing up in Linden, the PPP has done some infrastructural work that add to the aesthetics of the community and the services of the community. The Mackenzie Hospital, for example. Most of Amelia's Ward, which is deemed the largest housing scheme in the Caribbean. Yes, it was formed and under Burnham government, but it is under the leadership of Bar Jagdeo. It moved from here to here. So you can't say Burnham built Amelia's Ward with excluding Bar Jagdeo in the equation, because he has built more of Amelia's Ward. You understand? I live in Wizrock. Wizrock is a housing scheme that was birthed under the Burnham era. Self-help homes. My grandfather house was a self-help house that I grew up in. But most of Wizrock, it was here, it is now here, and it is going there. And most of that was under Bar Jagdeo's leadership. I have a house lot in Amelia's in Wizrock. Sheikh Bash was the Minister of Housing. We, my parents, neighbors, and them went to Phase 1B Wizrock, that was jungle, and chop out all of the bushes and everything. Hire a surveyor themselves as a community. They went to Phase 1B and lotted out the entire area and see where roads and all that was going. And then they invited Sheikh Bash. And all Sheikh Bash did was move it like this. Small in the house lot so that more people can get. But the entire Phase 1B, and now there's Phase 2 of Wizrock under the People's Progressive Party Civic. Burnham Drive, I remember walking and riding on Burnham Drive, was decorated with potholes. It is under the People's Progressive Party Civic. Burnham Drive was rehabilitated. Almost all of the roads in the last government, not this present, this new government, under Ali's government,
The first term.
and compliments to the Bishop Regil. He is a hard worker. He could take good criticism and licks too, but he's a hard worker. A lot of the communities in Linden that I grew up walking, where there were sand road and sand alleys, are now paved roads, concrete roads that Linden has built. Some of them falter in the roads that they were given a contract to build. They built substandard contracts. Lindeners did that. But the government equally must take some of the blame, because a contractor who build a substandard work, it is the engineer who has to approve the payments. Not the contractor alone is to be blamed. And I always used to say that to the Public Accounts Committee. It's a shared responsibility, because the contractor cannot be paid if the project is not approved by the engineer. But that being aside, many of the communities roads were alien to have roads now. Most of the infrastructure work in Linden was done under the People's Progressive Party. This is about truth. This is about honesty. You're not being political, even though there's a political show and you're expected to say this because it sounds good. The reality is, most of the infrastructural work in Linden was done under the People's Progressive Party civic. Housing, water, house lots to people were given under the People's Progressive Party. You understand? And more will be done. The Mackenzie Sports. I have some friends in Linden rowing about the Mackenzie Sports Club name change to the Mackenzie Stadium. I mean, them superficial, nonsensical things you are gonna. You get in a brand new facility that is going to accommodate football, because Linden love football, and it's going to accommodate cricket. It's going to accommodate all other sports. A new facility. My only hope is that another stand would be built on the other side that could accommodate probably 2,000 more patrons seated close to the party stand. But as it is a beautiful facility. I can't wait to be completed.
The operator said time has come. So could you briefly, and we go out in the score, when we asked Vincent Alexander why James Bond went, what is analysis of James Bond going over to the PPP? He said that was determined by a post-slavery syndrome that people like James Bond and African Guyanese who go over to the PPP.